Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is the Yankee and the Brit Thursday night pregame or Friday morning
Friday morning,
pregame for Maddie. Very strange.
5:30 on a Friday morning. This game kicks off at 8:15 in the morning for me, which is a really good time. It's wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. That makes me feel like when I get up for one of those London games or something like that.
Yeah. It means I'm just It's just weird to have like I'll be watching it and it'll be nighttime in America, and I'll be watching the game and it looks like it'll be pretty fucking cold in Lambeau Fields, and then for me it'll be 35 degrees in the morning,
Yeah,
which is insane.
it's freaking freezing here. Um, but there was something before we get into all the crazy games of the week, and there's something I wanted to bring up, and it was the Colts. And I wanted to just quick talk about Jeff. Okay. Jeff Saturday, your boy got beat up on the internet for sticking up for him last week. Feel a little vindicated, said they were going to come in with that Kurt new coach turnover energy,
Yep.
and that offensive line off the bat looked different. Quentin Nelson was running down the field and getting blocks. I think Jeff Saturday had a talk with those dudes, and I think it paid off, if only for one game.
Yeah, only for one game against the Raiders, and Josh McDaniels is looking. I think this is more of a commentary on the Raiders than it was on how amazing the Colts looked. Don't get me wrong; like they came in and they looked like they had more energy. They looked like they had worked on the offensive line stuff, which is what we said. We said if he gets in there and he fixes the offensive line, then he's immediately done his job, I guess, as interim coach. Um, but yeah, let's see some more from him before we get all woo. Yeah,
I
Saturday,
think
Saturday.
he's going to keep this job, and next year, all you're going to hear.
I think he's going to get smoked by the Eagles this week, and then that'll be a crushing reality to come
I
back down to earth.
I think if is you can lose to the Eagles because you're expected to, as long as you
Yeah.
play better than you were. Matt Ryan was playing well. Jonathan Taylor's running the ball great. The offensive line. I think we've seen, like, I'm not saying they're going to the playoffs or doing any of that, but I think we've seen that maybe that whole Frank Reich regime ran real thin on that team.
Yeah, I think it was really nice that they brought Matt Ryan back into the fold as well. I think that was quite an important decision to just say, oh, we're going to play Sam Ellinger. Like, if Matt Ryan's fit, we're still going to play Sam Ellinger. It's like, no, why? Why would you do that? Like, surely Sam Ellinger has proved that he's not. Maybe he's not there yet, but he's a good backup quarterback. He had some juice and things like that. But come on, man. Like, he's not
Jeff,
Matt Ryan.
Jeff Saturday said on Thursday's practice he saw Matt Ryan slinging that ball around and asked him how he felt, said he felt good, talked to the coaches, and he said, is this normal? And he's like, oh yeah, that's how he slings it in practice all the time. And he's like, he's starting. And he had a conversation with Sam, and he let the team know best 11 players are playing. I don't care where you were drafted, how much you're being paid, whatever, best 11.
Yeah, which is exactly how it should be. It makes
Yep.
no sense. So it's good for him to come in. He obviously gives that team a breath of fresh air. He's obviously helped fix the offensive line, and the way that team works, if the offensive line is cooking, then they should really be on it. Like, if that offensive line is cooking, then they really will go places, because they can go places behind Jonathan Taylor. It'll be the first time in Matt Ryan's career where his offensive line has been half decent, so he'll be able to sit back and fling the ball, which will be what we expected to see at the start of the season. We'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. Josh McDaniels is in trouble.
No, he's not.
Mm.
He's got a huge buyout. He's not in
Well,
trouble.
yeah. You can be in trouble and not be immediately going to get sacked. Like, if he still
He's got
needs to
another
turn it
2
around.
years after this, guaranteed.
Yeah. And the way that they're playing right now, the team's not getting better. Like, it got better for a little bit with Josh Jacobs going absolutely wild, and now people have stopped Josh Jacobs again, and it's not getting any better.
Well, I am not a fan of this overturn of coaches, so I am
Yeah.
glad to know he's not gonna, because I want to see what happens when he gets that whole system put in, working the way he wants it. And then if it's still not working, well, then you screwed up and you set your team back 5 years. But that's what happens when you bring in a new coach and they don't work.
Yeah, I just think,
I just don't like these one and done things we've seen a
yeah,
couple
yeah,
times.
yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I just just nobody seems to be picking up on the system, I think is the big issue.
I think Devontae went to a team to play with his best friend, and his best friend might not be there next year.
Yeah.
Derek Carr.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Like that, and that's not like, oh, Derek Carr is a terrible quarterback and he's an awful quarterback and all of that kind of stuff. It's just he's not picking up on this system. Like he's not hitting the right buttons that Josh McDaniel needs him to hit. Like you could see somebody like Mac Jones coming into the Raiders next year. You could see Mac Jones, somebody who he picked up on that system really well. He's regressed without Josh McDaniels there, so you could definitely see Mac Jones there next season, uh,
And
tearing it up.
He's in Belichick's doghouse.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and Belichick's not afraid to get rid of people, especially to his friends. So you could see the Raiders picking up Mac Jones and inserting him over Derek Carr. I mean, the only issue with that is Derek Carr finally got paid this year.
Yeah, but if you look at it, it's only like 30 million, and I think you'd be able to trade him, even if it's for a shit draft pick, to another team.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of teams that would pick up that 30 million for Derek
The
Carr.
Panthers, if they don't get another quarterback,
Yeah, they're gonna have one of the high pick in the
a
draft
team
though.
who
Like
gets an injury in training camp,
yeah, maybe somebody like the
depending where the Texans go in the draft.
yeah.
I just think there might be a team who's going to give you a sixth round pick for Derek Carr at 28.9 or 29.8 million or whatever it is for a starting quarterback in this league is pretty cheap at this point.
Yeah, or somebody like the Tennessee Titans, somebody who actually has a shot and low on their quarterback.
The Rams, maybe if Stafford's elbow doesn't ever heal.
Yeah, behind that offensive line, it might never heal.
Yeah, this is a fact.
It's just tough to say. I like some guys get injured because some guys get injured. Yeah, I don't know. Do you know
I think
what?
they're moving on from Goff because I think he's going to want 40+ million, but that's just
yeah. Which if I'm Jared Goff, I'm not even asking for anywhere near close to that because he's in like quite a good situation now. He seems to be playing really good ball, putting up loads of points. Don't play your hand too early. Take a 1-2 year deal maybe on 25 mil and see where the Lions can end up in that 2 years time.
So this is just a quick note. The only place I think I'd be okay with a one and done is in Denver.
Well, yeah, that like I would have been 6 games done in Denver. Like you can see just some people can't coach.
They're better offensive coordinators or whatever it is. There's not a slight. You're just better at a certain role than whatever. We all just got to find our lane, right? So
yeah, you see, and he's not gelled with Russell Wilson. He's not gelled with the squad at all. Like it just doesn't seem to work there at all. So sometimes you've got to say when something clearly isn't right, then fucking just do it, just cut it. But with the Raiders and Josh McDaniel, everything should work. That's the thing with the Raiders, isn't it? It's like there's no reason for nothing to work. Whereas in Denver, you can see that it's not going to work.
right.
But everything's in place for it to work. Josh McDaniels is a known great coach. He's not just an offensive coordinator, like he's a student of the game. So it should really work. It's just that's going to take a while for it to set in. I hope, don't get me wrong, I want the Raiders to be good next year. I kind of want it to be behind Derek Carr. It just looks like nobody on that offense is really picking it up at all, apart from Josh Jacobs. And yeah, if they can get a hold of Mac Jones for nothing, then I feel like that would be a great move for them. Sorry, Derek Carr. I'm sure you'll be able to find another team and play really well there.
Maybe he can go to the Patriots. Maybe they just swap.
Do you know what? That's not a bad idea at all.
You never see player swaps anymore either. It's always picks. I'd like to see just a player trade again.
Yeah, like surely having a known commodity that isn't fitting in one place, swapping for a known commodity not fitting in the other place is just a better situation for everybody. Maybe the Raiders have to forfeit Derek Carr because they're going to move off him anyway, and a couple of picks. Like that might have to do it, but yeah, not any major picks though. Like I wouldn't give up any major picks for Mac Jones. I'd be more tempted to go into the draft and see how that works. But yeah, there's definitely Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush might be able to make that system in Vegas work. I mean, he'd be like the least Vegas quarterback of all time, but he's smart, he's accurate. I like somebody like Andy Dalton, like who's probably not going to be playing for the Saints next year if this continues the way it is. Yeah, they've got loads of options to get better. It just unfortunately looks like Derek Carr is getting no better whatsoever.
Yeah, and we'll move on right in a second, but maybe he's just not picking up the offense. Maybe it is on him. I don't know.
Yeah, you hesitate to say people have really low football IQ when they've been in the league for as long as Derek Carr, because that can't be true. That like he must have great football IQ, just he's not picked up on this system whatsoever. And is that Josh McDaniels coaching? Is it Derek Carr just doesn't? Because apparently Josh McDaniels' system, like obviously me and you, like we've never played NFL ball, so not able to feel how like the different systems work. But apparently, like Josh McDaniels is a savant of the game who creates this ridiculously complicated system for people to have to pick up on, and it takes a while. And Derek Carr just doesn't seem to be that guy, which is difficult because I thought Derek Carr would be that kind of guy, but he's clearly not as football IQ driven as we thought he was.
All right, so let's move on to a game that almost gave me a freaking heart attack in the middle of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I got to say about that Vikings game to start this thing is,
thank you, God. Victory! Thank you, God. Victory!
all right, I'm done.
Thank you, God.
Whoa, my bad. Double click that thing. That game was insane. I was really mad for a long time in that game at the way we were playing. I hate that. I love that we came back from 17 points down. I hate that we were even 17 points down. And I'm going to beat a dead horse again. We got to do something about these fucking refs. Gabe Davis' side needs to be reviewed upstairs. Never a catch. They don't review it, but if Kevin O'Connell throws the challenge flag, it's a penalty. So that's ridiculous. And then overtime on the goal line, Delvin Cook gets stopped for a loss, and there's 12 defensive players on the field. Of course he got stopped for a loss, but they don't call that either.
Yeah, that's amazing. The 12 players is absolutely insane thing to happen, because that's so easily, as soon as a complaint of that comes up, surely that's easily reviewable with the game. They got saved. They obviously got saved by the fact that Josh Allen fumbles the ball on the 1 yard line, which is,
I disagree 100%. Did you see that defense jumping around? They were energy. They were going for it. That was all because that defense had that center so scared for his knees that he fucked the whole snap up. I think that's a defensive play, not an offensive fuck up.
Yeah, but I mean, what I mean is the refs get saved by the refs sorry. The refs get saved by.
I got defensive right away.
The refs get saved by that happening. If that doesn't happen, then I think people come out and are a lot madder about it today. So I don't want the refs to be, as much as I don't want the refs to get blamed the entire time. I feel like Jason Kelsey said it on his podcast with Travis Kelsey. He said, I'm really sick of, really good. He said, I'm really, really sick of people blaming the refs for losses. There's so much that happens in one game that one play one bad call, anything like that is not what decides the game. You should be getting it done without that one play of a fuck up. But I mean, if that one play is 4th and 1 on the goal line, the last
Or-
seconds of the game, then it's
or-
very difficult to hide that.
Or when you tackle a defender when he's about to make an interception as a ref. And
Yeah.
this isn't
Yeah.
on the refs, but that Gabe Davis catch is on New York. That
Mhm.
should have been fucking reviewed. It was under 2 minutes. And if Kevin O'Connell throws a challenge flag, then he gets a penalty. So like the coaches are screwed in that last 2 minutes if New York does not decide to review it. And everybody who's seen the replay seen that ball bounced off the ground.
Yeah. I also think that I also think you can take the 12 players on the field as a New York problem as well, because and the tackling the tackling of your safety last week. You could see all of those things as a New York problem.
But the line judge is supposed to count how many players are on both teams. So
Yeah, but you could also, like, they could get a little bit of help from New York to say,
I agree
just in
with
their
that.
ear, there's like the reason that safety call is a New York problem is it's obviously an accident from the ref. Like he's not meaning to do that. He just finds himself in a bit of a fucking awkward place on the field where he shouldn't be. And there should be an option just to replay that entire down, which is a rules problem.
That one, the other two pissed me off more actually, because okay, that was an interception. It was egregious. Like he's supposed to run forward. People make mistakes. That's fine. But after it's over, it wasn't fine at the time, but you get my point. But when there's stuff that you tie a coach's hands and then still don't do what your own rules say, is a real problem. And I don't understand how the NFL can't get this right, especially when they're watching from New York. Because the refs are never going to be perfect, and all we want as fans is it to be right.
Yeah, just to be fair, like even if it's not right 100% of the time, even if it's not right, like if you fuck up, like just say that's how you're reffing the game. Like this has been something that's pissing me off all year, but Micah Parsons is held 90% of the time, I'm convinced. And it's getting to a point where the refs have started to go like, oh, it's not fair that he's in the backfield on every single play. And it's like, well, yeah, that's fine if that's how you're going to ref the game. And then the Cowboys get called on holding penalties all the time. Like we get called for holding all the time, and they are holding. Like it is a holding penalty, but if Micah Parsons isn't getting what because your defensive line is shit. Like that's not fair.
It's kind of like the Shaq treatment. Like Shaq, they could hack the fuck out of Shaq because refs were like, well, he's so big. Well, like, so what? The rules still apply.
Yeah, I don't mind it being wrong and fair. Like if that's how you're going to play the game, then let all the players play that. Like that's fine. It's just and the best way to keep it fair is by not getting it wrong. And the way to not get it wrong is by having somebody in the sky looking at the plays and looking at those simple things like 12 players on the field so that the refs can then focus on the game. We have something in cricket called a no ball, which is where if your foot goes over a certain line before you throw the ball, then it's called a no ball, and the batsman can't get out on that. The batsman can't get out on that ball, and he can smash it into the air, and he doesn't have to worry about getting out or anything like that. And they used to have the umpire just looking at the line and then having to look 22 yards away to see what's going down at the other end. And bearing in mind that ball's going 85, 90 miles an hour, to have to go like that, to then go like that, that's seconds. So now what they've got is a guy whose job it is to sit in a booth upstairs and watch the foot on that line so that the umpire can actually focus on the game. Like can actually focus on the little so maybe take the burden off them on the little things. So all those stupid like one of the things about the NFL that I find so baffling is that the mark is so analog. Like the ref just looks down the line and just runs up and just places the ball where he thinks it is on the mark. That's insane. Like, why don't they have like a digital tracker in the ball or just something like that, like a tiny chip, like to say this ball move forward until this point, and then that's it. Like, it makes no sense. It's weird that they go so analog with the refereeing while there's a million cameras everywhere and there's amazing technology in the NFL. It's one of the things that's best about it. Like, we can tell how quick the players are running. We can tell this, we can see that, all of that kind of stuff. And then the refereeing is no help allowed apart from you're allowed to go watch the TV screen every now and again. Like, it makes no sense. Or like on the goal line, if you have that chip in the ball, you can tell if the ball is over the goal line or not.
But you can't tell where the knee is down or the arm is down. And
It's
that's
just
their argument, though.
It's just you would be able to, like, the refs would then have to watch if the knee's down. You can see on the replays. It just helps. It would just help even a little bit knowing that, yep, that ball is over the line. Definitely 100%. We just need to see when his knee went down. Like, I guess, because then you can get a timestamp on the signature and you can measure the timestamp to the timestamp of his knee going down, like all of that kind of thing. And it's just like, there are ways around it and the NFL just doesn't seem to want to do it. But I don't want the referees to take away from your moment of saying how amazing the Vikings were to come back from 17 down, man. So analyze that game, man. Tell us why the Vikings are so great.
I got something to say about that, something about what's going on with a player on that team. It is no longer an argument. Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the NFL. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Not only the catches, first player in NFL history with 20 100-yard games in his first 3 seasons, still got 8 games left. First player in NFL history with 7 150-yard games in his first 3 years, still got 8 years left. And if you go back and watch, he sprung Dalvin Cook with a block on that 81-yard run.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and that catch is the catch of the year. He made the catch of the year last year as well.
I'm not going to lie, Maddie, when that 4th and 18, so every other year I would have been like, this is over. I hate my life. I literally had a little glimmer in me, like something can happen here, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm yelling at the TV, just throw it to JJ. Just fucking throw it to Jay. So when he threw it to Justin Jefferson, I was so happy. And then I thought it was intercepted. And then they show the replay and he caught it. I could not believe he caught that ball.
Yeah, I just think that like, he's amazing. His hands, he very rarely gets the fundamentals wrong either. So he's not, it's not like he's the Justin Fields of wide receivers where he can do all the massive plays right, but then on a 5-yard slant route, he drops the ball and things like that. Like, he builds it off fundamentals and then grows and grows and grows into the game after that. I think the only guy that's close to him is Jamar Chase. I feel like Jamar Chase is, if he wasn't injured, would be having a fair cop as well as to being considered one of the best players there.
If you take this year out of it, I think up in the conversation of the top 3 would be Davante Adams too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Davante Adams is in a bit of a different stage of his career as well. Like, these guys, so Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. There's nobody in those 2 class. But Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, they're so early on in their career. That's what makes their stats so incredibly impressive. I mean, they're also in pass-driven systems. So, like, obviously... Well,
JJ's first 2 years was run-heavy, and he still
that's true, actually. I feel like Justin
and that's
Jefferson
not a fight on any other receiver. Stephon Diggs is a monster. He had a great catch. We were all going to be talking about that catch in that game. And then Justin Jefferson said, forget about him. Watch this. And so there's great receivers, but man, Justin Jefferson is just a different beast to me.
Yeah. And I want to just talk about the Buffalo Bills a little bit here. Like, they're showing in the past 2 games that they're not, they can't finish off the game. And we were saying, look, we've been saying all this year, look, they're incredible. Like, they're an incredible team, but if you can't run the ball, you can't close out games. It's all well and good getting 17 points up, but against some of these teams that they're going to come up playing, so the Vikings, the Chiefs. I know they beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead, but still, the Chiefs, the Eagles. Like if you can't close out a game through the running back, you're going to give these guys the opportunity to win a game, and they've gone out and won. They've gone out and won the game, and then I'm not entirely sure how. I'm not entirely sure how at fault Josh Allen is in all of this. I mean, he did throw for 330 yards, but he does throw some stupid interceptions as well. Some of his interceptions are wild.
Well, Patrick Peterson said that they don't change anything, and he knew that fucking play. Well, he had 2 interceptions. One, he shoved the receiver out of bounds, which is totally legal because Josh was scrambling, and now that receiver's ineligible, so he just cut back in and cut that one off. But the one to win the game, he said he knew exactly what route they were running just from when they were lined up, so he undercut it because they don't ever switch anything.
Yeah, and it could be that could be their offensive system. It could be Josh Allen doesn't feel comfortable in the audible situation. I'm interested. I'm interested to see where the Bills go from here because I'm not writing off the Bills. I'm not that stupid. Like, it's just if you don't have a run game, you can't build everything else on top of it, on top of anything, and you definitely are going to struggle to come out winning games. I mean, they were up by 10 points going into the fourth quarter. Like, you should be able to close out a game from there. If you have a half decent run game, you close out a game where it's 10 points going into the fourth quarter. But I don't want that to take away from the Vikings. I love what you said about that being a defensive play on the fumble rather than a offensive fuck up. So
it's just
I can
if
agree
you
with
watch that energy, they really believe that. I know they were going for the safety because they wanted the chance to get the field goal to win with 47 seconds in a timeout, like that kind of thing, because you get the safety and then they have to punt you the ball. But like everybody's like, oh, it was a bad snap. It hit Josh Allen in the hands. It was just a little short. My argument is it was a little short because that center was worried about his kneecaps coming out.
Yeah, he knew that he had to get up and get ready. So again, back to Jason Kelsey's podcast where he talks about he flings Jalen. He had Jalen Hurts on there, and he says he flings the ball harder than anybody else because he wants his hands back. He's like, I've got work to do. Like, I don't want to get fucked up. Like, I've got work to do. So the ball comes out ridiculously quick. Like, Jalen Hurts explains that that's why his stance is so low and athletic because he needs to move around to catch the ball coming out that quickly. So yeah, you could see that. Yeah, you can see why that would be difficult if the center's like, I need to have my hands back so I can block so we can get out of here on the push.
Teams who do the right things and work hard get lucky because they're always around the ball. Mm-hmm. Tip passes, fumble recoveries, that kind of thing. Luck seems to break your way when you do the right things because you're always crashing to the ball. Yeah,
I also think something that won you guys the game is your fourth down efficiency was pretty wild. Three fourth downs out of 5. That's pretty insane.
Me and Sam Munson went back and forth a little bit again from PFF this week. He asked if there was anything we wanted explained, and I asked him to re-explain the Hawkinson trade being a push because 14 catches for 120 yards in 2 games. He fired back and said he didn't grade the trade. I was like, so I screenshotted his winners and losers and sent it back to him.
Yeah, it was pretty wild how buzzed he was about the TJ Hawkinson trade on the podcast after the argument on Twitter.
Yeah, it was just wild. It was just funny, and it's all in fun. Like I didn't say nothing nasty to him. He didn't say nothing nasty to me. He just said, you got to understand the definition of initial reaction, and he put it in quotes. So I just commented underneath. My initial reaction was that the Vikings won, and you said you went on to explain why I was wrong. Just say it. So it's fun to kind of that those guys will go back and forth with you, though. Like me and Miles Simons went back and forth one time about, he said the Bears helmets were the ugliest thing he's ever seen. And I jokingly told him there's no way you can say that while wearing that vest. And then we had this funny back and forth. Yeah. So like, it's nice that those guys take the time to go back and forth with people who follow them.
Yeah, and just to finish this off, the Bills had 4 turnovers, and you can't win having like 4 turnovers. You're going to struggle to win any game. 4
I did
turnovers, and you can't run the ball.
I did want to punch Kurt in the face once for one of those throws, but
Yeah,
like there's one intercept, that first interception, I had no idea how he even like who he was throwing to. Zero idea.
yeah.
All right.
What's kind of interesting is that the Bills. We're saying the Bills had no run game, but they rushed for 175 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, but
Well,
it's where you
your
run the ball.
quarterback
The
running
spots.
too, right? So your quarterback running really helps those, but they don't run when they have to. They don't have that 4-minute offense to like drain the clock.
Yeah, Josh Allen also ran for 84 yards on an
And
average of 14 yards a play. When he
I'm
was
just
rushing.
saying, if you're the Bills, maybe you kick that field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 2 also, but whatever. So let's talk about some Bucks in Germany against the Seahawks. Bucks looked pretty good. Tom Brady said it felt like a whole different environment. It was different than a London game. He had never seen any fans as rowdy and fun as the fans in Germany. Sounds like they had a great time, and they'll probably see a lot more games in Germany.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that, they kind of put the London games to shame a little bit, I guess. And I think it's from a production value that the German team have managed to offer the fans. I think it's a much crazier environment that they're offering. I think it's
the first
almost
time, right? So that helps
100%.
build the excitement, you know.
They've also managed to make it a more German affair. They've connected it in with some of the local traditions and things like that. Whereas when you watch a London game, it's an American NFL game. Just it happens to be in London. Whereas the German game, it looked like it was a German NFL game, and it was in Germany and things like that. And the songs they were singing are traditional songs that the Germans fans sung when there was an NFL Europe and things like that. Yeah,
You'll get a kick out of this. I heard one commentator, not calling the game, but like one of the talking heads on TV say, I don't remember who. They're like, over there, man, they're 4 huge beers in, and they're singing and having a good time.
Yeah.
They're like, in America, you're 4 huge beers in, and you're trying to pick a fight with the fan sitting next to you.
yeah. That's a very European. That's a very European deal, right there. Like, yeah, 4 big beers in, that's not an issue. Yeah. But those steins are wild as well. And Munich is like the beer capital of Europe, and there's the Hofbauhaus, like all those beer halls and things like that. Like, I love Munich as a city. It has a great vibe. The Allianz Arena is a really cool stadium. It makes sense that there's going to be a great NFL game in Germany. And I honestly think we're not far away now from maybe 5 to 10 years from having a European division in the NFL.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think before we get there, they'll end up doing something where every team plays over there. So they'll have like 16 games over there a year or something.
Yeah, something like that, just to see how the time difference and all
you
of
know
that kind of
how
stuff
right
works.
now with that extra 17th game, they're going back and forth. So last year, AFC teams got 9 home games. This year, NFC teams get 9 home games.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of that, I think they go back to 8 and 8, and then 1 overseas for every team. Like that's what seems smart to me, anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and it brings more games, and you can work on the logistical issues and all of that kind of stuff. Because obviously, they have these things of the guys are getting out here 3 days before, and then they have that bye, and then they go straight into their bye week. I'm not sure whether the time difference is that much of an issue.
I hate mornings, so it sucks for me, but I get it. And then if you're a West Coast fan, that's bad because that's 6:30 in the morning. But
yeah, but we can play the games. What I don't understand about this is you can play the games much later. Like there's nothing stopping. Yeah, so you can play the game at 6 o'clock. Like if you start the game at 6 p.m.
Or how about you work out a deal with college football and you play those games on Saturdays?
Yeah, but yeah, you definitely that would work. But you can play the game at 6 p.m. You can play at a normal early window time. Play the game at 6 p.m. It's done by 10. London is a city that's 24 hours. Like it's a 24/7 city. You can get transport links. in and out. Like obviously the NFL could do with putting a deal on with, because obviously the way that public transport works in the UK would be the only issue with that, because a lot of guys and a lot of families, especially who are going and would get the train down to London to watch those games. So they get the train down, they need to be able to get the train back so they can go to work on a Monday morning. Obviously, if that game if there's overtime, then the game won't finish until about 11. So you'll need to provide. But the last train from London that goes up to Edinburgh is at midnight. You would just have to maybe sweeten that. Maybe Wembley or Tottenham Hotspur Stadium would have to sweeten the deal with like our rail companies to say, can you put on a later train? We'll pay this amount of money for that later train and things like that, which you can do all of that stuff. It's an achievable goal. I don't understand. I feel like the only reason that the London game is at that time is to make the London game get more views in the States. But you could just, if it were to become a regular thing.
It's put it at another time slot to add another game into the.
Yeah, definitely. You wouldn't ever be able to have like a primetime game in London. That's the only issue with it.
Right. So the Commanders, Eagles.
Yeah, I'll just on the Bucks quickly. Sorry, because you didn't actually talk about the game. With the Bucks, it looks like they're really gelling together, and they could become a dangerous team. And that defense is going to lock a lot of people down.
And I think they exposed the Seahawks a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
So with the Commanders, Eagles, though, I got to say, Commanders run all over the Eagles, and they run out and sign Linval Joseph, who's a big gap, eats up a lot of room, and Ndamukong Suh to stop. They needed some help. It almost seems like panic moves, but like they're a good team, so it makes sense. I will say, though, I did pick the Eagles to win that game, but I did tell you that the way to beat the Eagles, run the ball, own the time of possession, and stop the run and put pressure on Jalen Hurts. And it's easier said than done. Otherwise, everybody would have done it. But that's how you beat the Eagles. That's how the Commanders beat the Eagles. And I love that they came out today, the Commanders, and said Taylor Heineke's our starting quarterback.
Yeah, well, they were advertising season ticket sales last week. So their season ticket sales, even before this game, had Taylor Heineke's face on it. There's no other Commanders players on it, just Taylor Heinicke. Because that guy balls out. Like, Taylor Heinicke is, like, for everything that he's not in terms of physical attributes and that kind of stuff, he's not like the greatest. He doesn't throw the greatest ball of all time, but he plays the game in a way where you want to watch him play the game, and he's a never say die kind of guy. And when you have an organization like the Commanders where it feels like it's going in the wrong direction, there's so much trouble around the thing, to be able to provide your fans with fun might be almost more important than providing them with wins. But the thing with Taylor Heinicke is he provides them with a hell of a shit ton of fun. And because of his attitude and just like, yeah, I'm throwing this ball in here and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's the fourth quarter and this is where I come alive. He's going to get them wins. I'm more scared of their team with Taylor Heinicke than I am with Carson Wentz, 100%.
And here's a crazy stat. And it's, if I'm off, it's just a hair. Since they let Kirk Cousins walk, they are 19-47 with Alex Smith and every quarterback. Taylor Heinicke is 9-9 on his own.
Yeah, like I honestly love watching Taylor Heinicke play. If it just wasn't in those horrible Commanders uniforms, that would be awesome.
The black ones aren't bad, bro. The black ones aren't bad.
Yeah, it's still got a Commanders logo on it, so I'm not particularly happy about it at all. But yeah, I enjoy watching Taylor Heinicke play, and I think that's important for the Commanders organization right now. I feel like the worrying thing. Can you hear like a tractor going off in the background, by the way?
Tiny bit, but not much.
Just a little bit. Sorry, guys.
Sounded like a wheelbarrow or a wagon, actually. So.
Yeah. So I'm currently staying on a rice farm in Thailand, and the guy's like out transporting his rice that he's just harvested at the minute. So yeah, that's that sound in the background. So the Commanders are Sorry, the scary thing is that the Eagles are probably going to get better after this loss. They feel like a team that's going to take this loss and come out better, which is a real worry. They don't mess around, and I agree that they're almost panic moves to try and fix issues. But if the panic move is bringing in Ndamukong Suh, a Pro Bowler who should have been on a team by now, and I think he should have been on the Cowboys by now, and I think it's a real mess up by the Cowboys back office not to have Ndamukong Suh walking through that building.
What's the Eagles rookie who just got injured too? I forget his name. But that's who they had to fill in for. So yeah.
Jordan Davis.
That's it, Jordan Davis.
Yeah, Jordan Davis. Yeah. So it's not really a panic move, and it's a 1-year deal to go and win it all right now. So the Eagles look like an incredibly well-run organization right now, which is a real fucking chew. The NFC East is the best division in football at the minute. I'm convinced.
So, speaking of the NFC East, what happened to your Cowboys?
We forgot that we were able to run the ball in the fourth quarter. We took a lead 14 points up into the fourth quarter. Once again, coaching gets in the way of our team. I know that a lot of people are blaming Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott definitely needs to take some elements of the blame because that game could have been out of sight if it wasn't for those 2 interceptions. That game could have been gone. That was
a beautiful one in the red zone.
Yeah, that's a killer, right? An absolute killer. The one to CeeDee Lamb, that interception, I just want to put out that a lot of people have come out and said that CeeDee Lamb probably ran the wrong route there.
Yeah, and I 100% believe that's a choice route. The coverage dictated one thing. CeeDee went the other way. Dak threw it to a spot. It was a pick.
Yeah, that's a pick that happens. Like, fine. That one in the red zone flips the game, which is really difficult. And then what they did in the fourth quarter is they put it on his back to say, go and win us the game and run down the clock. And we run the ball so well with Tony Pollard. I just worry that Tony Pollard can't take those hits the entire game. Like, I worry that it gets cut out by the fourth quarter, and that's where Zeke comes into his own. I feel like if Zeke's on that pitch, then we finish off that game. So yeah.
And Zeke
Aaron Rodgers
always falls forward.
Yeah, definitely. And also Aaron Rodgers loves to play against the Cowboys. Aaron Rodgers won't play that well the rest of this season.
You poo-pooed me. The internet poo-pooed me. And I told you all I saw something in the end of the loss to the Bills that offense was finding something. There was something that was starting to click. And I thought Watson was dead. Like, I thought they killed this kid, like, confidence. He had a couple drops. Rodgers kept going to him. He ended up with 3 touchdowns. That does nothing but build the confidence of that young kid. I am glad to see that. I don't think they absolutely ruined him. And I'm not saying the Packers are making the playoffs, and I'm not saying the Packers are going on a run. I'm just saying I saw something click in that Bills game where that offense looked better than it was, and they're starting to find each other. And something that has been beaten on this show like a rented mule is, where were you in the offseason to do this, Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, exactly. This could have been sorted out. Like, this could have been ready. They could have come into they could have come in playing like this. I think something that helps the Packers is the fact that for some reason you're allowed to hold Micah Parsons. Like, Micah Parsons is the only guy in the NFL that you're allowed to just tackle.
This next week. I hope the refs continue that trend this next week.
You're allowed to tackle Micah Parsons. Like, he's the only guy in the NFL that you're allowed to just, like, blow up, because I don't know what it is. Like, or is it because he's small, so you feel like he's just getting bullied by these offensive linemen? We've shown that he's an absolute monster. He can run over any, like, offensive lineman or beat them in speed. You're allowed to hold DeMarcus Lawrence. You're allowed to hold anybody in the Cowboys team, apparently. You're just allowed to just, if they're wearing a star on the helmet, just wrap them up and just take them to the ground from there. And also, Kelvin Joseph sucks. Kelvin Joseph is the worst draft pick I've ever seen in my entire life. I said it at the time. I'm saying it now. Asante Samuels would have made our secondary probably one of the best in the league. But no, Anthony Brown goes down. Anthony Brown isn't that fucking good. If Anthony Brown is the reason that we're not conceding 30 points, our defensive line must be incredible. Kelvin Joseph is shit. Cut him now. Just cut him. He's awful. And I very rarely say this about players, but I said it at the time as well. He has off the field issues. He has on the field issues. There's a reason they only let him play when Anthony Brown is injured. Like, it's wild. Cut that guy. Shit. Get rid of him. There's a reason why Christian Watson looks so good, and it's because he's getting covered by one of the worst corners I've ever seen in my entire life.
I felt that, Maddie. I felt that.
Yeah, well, I watched this game at fucking 4 a.m. I stayed up till 4 a.m. to watch this shit. Like, I'm just, yeah, sorry. But yeah, they were so, but like, that was so bad. That was so bad. But we took a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter. I know a lot of Cowboys Nation are calling for Cooper Rush to come back. I know people are really hating on Dak Prescott right now. We took a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter and we scored 30 points. We should be able to have that game wrapped up. We should have had that game wrapped up. We should have been able to run the ball at least a little bit. And when Zeke comes back, I feel like we win that game. I'm not worried about the Cowboys going forward at all. I still think we beat the Giants after seeing what the Giants did against the Texans. I still feel that we beat them. I still feel like we beat the Commanders. And if our team is fully healthy, we have a chance against the Eagles. We seem to be top in the running for OBJ. I would have rather had a guy like Ndamukong Suh so we could stop the fucking run. That's really irritating that we can't stop the run at all. But yeah, I feel like we'll be back and kicking soon. I'm not saying it's going to be this week, though.
I don't know. I we'll get into that on Sunday. Like, my head is still. I hope the players are more thinking about the Cowboys because I'm still thinking about the Bills. That shit makes me nervous. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, with talking about the Packers though, who play tonight against the Titans, which way are you leaning on that game, Maddie?
I don't really like the Titans at all. Like, I don't understand the hype that they've been getting a lot of the time. I feel like they've been in close games to teams that they should be blowing out if they're expected to be this playoff team. However, I feel like the Packers had their Super Bowl last week, is what it looked like. That's just what it looked like for me looking in. I feel like the Titans will run the ball on them. And let's not remember that the Packers were fucking 14 points down and the Cowboys just forgot that they could run the ball. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Titans in this one. I'm not sure what the spread is.
I think it's 3.5. I'm checking right now.
3.5. Okay. Yeah, I'll take the Titans. I'll take the Titans more than 3.5.
I've been going back and forth on this game. I'm like, so are the Packers going to come out and have that same drive with the offense? A.J. Dillon played bigger than his fantasy points because he had like 6.8 fantasy points, but his runs were big for them in that game, like when he got them, where he got them. I think the Titans have a better defense, and I think everything in my head tells me that the Titans should win this game, but I'm picking the Packers to win.
Yeah. Okay. I can see why
the Packers are going to win this game.
Yeah, I can see why. I think they may be back. Like, I know Aaron Rodgers has come out and said they're going to run the board and like all of that. They're going to
Matt LaFleur out on that fourth down.
Yeah. Yeah,
run
maybe
the
he's just taking
ball. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Run the fucking ball.
That's what the Packers need to do. I don't want them to think like, well, actually, I want the Packers to lose every game, but I don't want them to get away from running the ball because Aaron Rodgers threw it to Christian Watson a few times. So Aaron Rodgers is back. Christian Watson is the reincarnation of Devontae Adams. Like, let's just throw the ball. No, the reason that you were able to do that is because Christian Watson managed to get one-on-one with one of the worst corners I've ever seen. So, like, run the ball, and run the ball again.
All right, Maddie, before we get out of here, you want to do this week's power rankings?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, let's start at number 10. And since I went first last week, you go first this week.
At number 10, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
It seems like a weird pick. It seems like a bit of a stretch, but I want everybody to remember that they're top of their division with well, a game in hand or 2 games in hand, maybe. They're top of their division. They're starting to hit their straps. Tom Brady's road to the Super Bowl could look like rookie Jalen Hurts. It could. Who else is in there? He just comes across a lot of players that have never done it in the playoffs. If they manage to make it to the playoffs in the NFC, and it's the kind of battles where you take Tom Brady from there. So I feel like their road to the Super Bowl is clearer than a lot of teams because of how shit their division is.
I can't argue with you. I got them at 12 right now, but I can't argue with the 10. At number 10, I have the New York Jets.
Yep, I still have the New York Jets. They obviously didn't play this week. I really want to see them beat the Patriots for the first time in, what is it, like 22 years or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're a good young team. I think they got good coaching, and I think that they might be a sneaky pick for that last wild card spot.
Yeah, definitely. I think they'd be disappointed if they didn't make it to the playoffs this year with the way that they've been going. I feel like with the way that Breece Hall has gone down, I'm very impressed with how they've managed to make up for Breece Hall going down. So, yeah, I could definitely see that. I think that Zach Wilson needs to just, if Zach Wilson reins it in and just starts picking the guys that are kind of open, then that might, that's going to help them a lot rather than trying to make the hero throw every single time.
All right. At number 9, who do you have?
I have the New York Giants at number 9.
Well, we both have the Giants at number 9.
Yeah, it's one of those ones at number 8. Sorry, they won, but they went backwards because of how they got that one done. You played against the Houston Texans, you didn't look good, and I know the Texans make it difficult for a lot of people, and the Giants have this habit of winning these close games. They don't have the same talent on the pitch as everybody else above them.
No, and I have them moving back because they win with coaching, and at some point there's going to come down to a time where the players have to make a play.
Yeah,
and I there's a time they have the same talent a lot of other teams have.
Yeah, there's also a time where you can, like, winning by coaching helps you beat poor coaching, but there's times where they're going to come across they're going to come across teams with good coaching and the talent that outmatches them as well. So, yeah, number 8 for me. At number 7, I've got the Baltimore Ravens.
Wait. You had the Jets at 10.
No, Bucks at 10. Bucks at 10. Jets at 9. Giants at 8.
See, we skipped 9 because I had the Jets at.
Oh, you had the Jets?
I had the Jets
you had the Jets at 10.
So
right, okay, sorry.
You had them at 9, and I have the Giants at 9. Okay.
Right, okay. Cool. Got you.
So
who've got 8?
Okay. So at number 8, I have the Baltimore Ravens.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. So the Baltimore Ravens, they didn't play this week.
No.
And there's no reason for them to get any worse. Like, as far as I'm looking at it, nobody's immediately jumped over the top of them. One team that I haven't got in my top 10 that I thought, because of their win that they got this week, could have done is the Cincinnati Bengals, but there's just some, like, the other teams that didn't play this week, so the Jets and the Ravens, I don't think that the Bengals showed enough to jump above where they are right now, because the Bengals' offensive line play is so inconsistent. I have the Baltimore Ravens at 7, so just above that. So, yeah, I'm very close to you with that one as well. They're always going to be a team that plays this hard style of football. That it's only really down to them and the Bengals for who's going to win the AFC North as well. So their road to the playoffs isn't too difficult either.
And at number 7, I have your Dallas Cowboys.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I had them dropping because they just got beat by the Packers.
Yeah, they got beat by the Packers because they didn't play good football. I think they're the exact opposite to the Giants, where the coaching gets in the way of the talent a lot of the time. I've got them at 6. Yeah, I've got them at 6. So just just above where you've got them as well. I feel like I'm not sure whether they beat the Ravens if they play today, but I definitely feel like they beat the Giants, Jets, and Bucks if they all play today. So yeah, I feel like we've got all the talent there, and we're hopefully going to add more with OBJ. And I feel like when Zeke comes back, we're able to run that ball. We're able to run that clock out. We don't lose that Giants game if Zeke's on the field. I'm convinced. I'm convinced by it. Okay, who have you got on number 6?
The San Francisco 49ers.
Right, okay. I was wondering who you had there that was pushing like everybody down, because I imagine we'll be very similar from 5 up now. So the San Francisco 49ers, I can't say that I dislike the pick. I was trying to still put them in my top 10. I just can't get over their franchise-wide injury issues for some reason.
I agree. They just have so much talent. And they play such team ball. They don't rely on their quarterback to win them games. So and just over the last few years, they always prove they're always in it.
Yeah, they're definitely always in it. I think their road to the Super Bowl as well is a pretty clear-cut path one now. With the way that division's shown up, both divisions in the West have been very disappointing this year. They should have both been more contested than they have been. They obviously beat the Chargers. I thought that they should have beaten the Chargers by more. I feel like that matchup for the Chargers is pretty poor. Like if they blew out the Chargers, then yeah, they'd be towards the top as well. So at number 5, I have the Miami Dolphins.
I have the Buffalo Bills.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Big fall for the Bills there.
There's something off on that. Like that team has come close to losing a couple games they shouldn't. The running game is starting to get colder. And the more I watch Miami, I think Miami would beat them in a game right now.
Yeah, possibly.
So
yeah. I feel like Miami are just, their offense is just something else, man. Like they've got a lot of defensive injuries that once they get sorted out, I'm sure they'll move up the power ranks a little bit further as well. But their offense is wild. Like it's you and the Miami Dolphins. Both of your coaches are probably actually coach of the year, because I know you get coach of the year. Coach of the year usually goes to somebody who takes a terrible team and makes them a lot better. So somebody like Pete Carroll's going to definitely be in there. Giants head coach. What's his name?
Daboll.
Yeah, Brian Daboll. Like he's obviously going to be in there, but
probably in the conversation.
Yeah, Sirianni as well. But I feel like the way that Kevin O'Connor and
Mike
McDaniels, I feel like they've both just come in and just changed life on the offensive side of the ball in both of your organizations.
And they changed the culture in both of those places.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like the culture for the Vikings actually getting over the top in those close wins is pretty impressive change. I feel like the Dolphins have got this offensive scheme that means that all of their wide receivers just seem open all the fucking time, and Tua is a perfect guy to execute that. It's interesting to see how both teams won the Tyreek Hill trade. So because Kansas City traded Tyreek Hill, they were able to go get Ivan Toney, who looks absolutely awesome. And I'm sure we'll talk about him when we get towards the even closer towards the top of this list. And they've got this systematic thing. But then Miami have now got Tyreek Hill, who's just able to get open. It means that Jalen Waddle's open, means that they can run the ball as well. I feel like they're very impressive. At number 4, I've got the Buffalo Bills. I feel like they've still got all the talent on that side of the ball. They still have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I feel like there's definitely something off. And if they don't correct that this week, then I'm going to plunge them quite far down, I feel.
At number 4, I got the Miami Dolphins, so we just flipped them around. Everything you said, I agree with. Mike McDaniels went out and got a running back from San Francisco that knows how to run the system he wants to run. That seemed to help a lot, too. I really like where this coaching staff, I really like where this team's going. And, again, being in the same division, we're going to get to see Miami and Buffalo play again, so all of this will play out on the field.
Yeah, hopefully. So at number 3, I have the Minnesota Vikings. Your Minnesota Vikings at number 3.
I got the Eagles. And I know people are going to give you the argument, oh, they beat the Vikings in week 2. Yeah, they did, but they just lost to a team that the Vikings beat. So if we're talking this week, off that Bills win, the way that the Eagles looked against the Commanders. The Vikings won a big game this week. The Eagles lost to a team they should have beat. So I have the number 3. I have the Eagles.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you've gone from there. I feel like the Vikings are kind of getting into that like juggernaut kind of status, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Especially when you have the weapons that they have
And
available.
if we get smacked by Dallas, it all changes next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel so. I've got the Eagles at 2. I feel like the
I got the
Eagles.
Vikings at 2. So we flip-flop that again. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the Eagles might have gotten better due to that loss. I feel like that smack in the mouth that they've received from the Commanders might just make them a better football team. And definitely in terms of the signings that they've made, they're even more of a worry now than they were 2-3 weeks ago in terms of that defensive line. And I feel like their road to the Super Bowl is very clear as well. Obviously, the Vikings is as well because of the division that you guys are in. But they're now. I know that the Eagles are now. Oh, they're only one game ahead in the division, aren't they? Because of the Giants. So yeah, maybe.
And then in the loss column, the Vikings are 5 games ahead of the Packers. So
Yeah.
We would literally have to almost lose out, and they'd have to win out for it to change.
Yeah, and then at number 1, I feel like we both had the Kansas City Chiefs.
Unlike Florio, whose fake ass Viking fandom put the Vikings at number 1, and it's like, calm down. We all know you're a fake Vikings fan. Sit down and shut up. Okay.
Definitely.
Take a shot at Florio and his Vikings at number 1. I love my Vikings team. If we were playing Kansas City, I'd be scared as hell.
Yeah, Kansas City look unbelievable. Kansas City have turned what is a ridiculous amount of talented guys and turned them into an efficient offensive machine that marches the ball down the field. And Ivan Toney is a freak. Yeah, that just adds to that. Darius Toney.
Kadarius, but yeah.
Sorry. Ivan Toney plays up front for Brentford Football Club and should have been going to the World Cup with England, but didn't get selected. Sorry, Kadarius Toney.
Christian Pulisic. Okay, go on.
Kadarius Toney is a freaky guy in that system. He's the kind of guy that I feel like Kansas City have wanted since Deebo Samuels came out from the 49ers.
He's a lot like Tyreek Hill, but bigger.
Yeah, I feel like Andy Reid has looked at Deebo Samuels and the 49ers and gone like, I would fucking love me one of them guys. Like, give me one of them guys like the entire time. And I feel like Kadarius Toney is that guy. He adds the X factor to what is that crazy offensive machine that they've developed. And Chris Jones is looking really good. If Micah Parsons continues to get held every single play, then Chris Jones could be the defensive player of the year.
I think if somehow Micah Parsons doesn't win that and Sauce keeps playing the way he is, they better give it to Sauce. But I get exactly what you're saying.
They won't give it to a rookie. But
no, I know. But we will be on here pounding the table if something happened and 100%. Micah Parsons didn't get it. It better go to Sauce,
Yeah, 100%. Unless TJ Watt comes out now and gets like.
Well, yeah, I mean, as of right now, though, in the NFL season, if it ended today and they keep playing the way they are, those two are balling.
Yeah, definitely. But obviously, Micah Parsons is going to find it difficult to ball if he's getting fucking tackled by 300-pound offensive lineman the entire time. Sorry, I'm not bitter about it or anything. It's just.
Well, I'm actually a little bit excited for this Thursday night game, which hasn't happened in a while. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think I think it'll be a close game. I think that they'll play each other tough. I to see who wins and who's starting. Is it Tannehill or is it?
No idea. I feel like it's got to be Tannehill, right? It's got to be Tannehill.
I thought he was close.
Unless Tannehill is injured still. All reports said that he was getting really close and was practicing this week.
Right. That's why I was wondering what they were doing. Should I play Ryan? I think he's starting because one of the fantasy headlines is, should I play Ryan Tannehill? Ryan Tannehill active and returns to the lineup.
Yeah, good. Because Willis doesn't have it yet.
No, but I mean, it's always like if the guy's hurt, you get to get this young kid some fucking playing time, see
Mhm.
what you need to work on with him. And they've won a few games with him, even though they made it difficult.
Yeah, they've won a few games in spite of him, rather than
Yeah.
him. But
But,
yeah,
that's like, it's like this. I don't think the Vikings offense is clicking 100% yet because it's a new system and they're learning.
Mhm.
But the great thing about that is we're winning while we're learning. It's a lot easier to learn while you're winning than it is when you're losing.
yeah, definitely.
So, all right, guys, make sure you check back with us Sunday. It's going to be a crazy show for me and Maddie because we'll be head to head that week. And
Yep.
then shortly after, we go head to head in the World Cup.
Yeah, the thing that really matters, country versus country.
Yeah, and when you shock the world and the U.S. brings home that World Cup to go along with our CONCACAF, to go along with our Gold Cup, to go along, with
I just don't
all
think the CONCACAF and the Gold Cup just don't mean as much as you think they do.
yeah, it's a championship. We're just gonna get the trifecta. It's like everything, bro. You're working your way up to
Yeah.
the World Cup. You know what I mean? And we've taken every step. And yep, next is the World Cup because we believe we can win. I know Maddie loves that. And so with
It's
that,
the lamest chant of all time.
and I'll leave it with that. Santa's on our side. Watch the Coke commercial. One
Okay.
world, one love. Do this.
Coming around, Beth.